Hey everyone, Pupsker here, and today in Warframe, we're going over how you can farm prime Warframes and weapons. If you don't know what a prime Warframe is or a prime weapon, it's essentially a stronger version of the weapon or Warframe. In the Warframes case, the prime variant usually has some more maybe sprint speed, health, armor, maybe it has a little bit more energy, so just a little bit boost to the stats, whereas prime weapons will usually have more crit, attack speed, status, maybe general redistribution of status damage, total damage is a little higher, you know, prime weapons have a little bit more variation in that regard, but generally the prime variant is either an upgrade or a change in weapon cases. It can go from maybe a crit weapon to a status weapon, or change up the alt fire a little bit, you know, they can do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, so yeah, all in all, upgrades, and it's not that bad to farm in-game, because you can farm and build prime weapons and warframes pretty early on in the game. So without further ado, let's go over how you can do that, and if this video does help, like, comment down below, and subscribe to see any other Warframe video or non-Warframe video. Thank you. So the very first step to getting prime warframes and weapons is obtaining the Void Relic segment, and that's early on in the game. Essentially, you have to have Earth and Venus kind of complete. For Earth, you need to go over here to the Mars junction and complete this. As you can see, clear a path through Venus to access Mercury, Rabido, fight enemies, and then complete the Once Awake quest. If you do this, one of the rewards is the Void Relic segment in the bottom left down there. But you need to see that you need to complete Sui Sui on Mercury and the Once Awake quest. So how do you really get that? Well, we go on over here to Venus, and you do have to complete Venus because here is the Mercury junction. You can see the reward here is the quest Once Awake and Howl of the Kubro. Early on, you want to complete all the relays, complete all of the planets, and complete these quests, because that's how you kind of advance. So get all of this done. It's essentially just finishing up Venus and finishing up Earth as a planet, as they are really early on levels. So farm those out, play through those, and then complete the Mars junction to get your Void Relic segment. From there, you can just build your Void Relic segment pretty easily in your foundry. I believe you can build it down here, or you just get it, and then you install it in over, I think around here is technically where it puts it in, unless it installs somewhere else. But this is your Void Relic segment. So now let's talk about Void Relics and how you can actually farm prime warframes and weapons. It's pretty simple all in all. There are 4 levels to basic prime relics, Void Relics. There are Lith, there are Meso, there is Neo, and lastly, Axii. This is just kind of the level counter. Lower level missions and rotations will drop Lith, lower level and mid-level rotations, Meso, mid to higher level rotations will drop Neo, and higher level rotations will drop Axii. Axii will almost never drop on an A-drop rotation or like first rotation of the mission. Usually you have to go to a B-drop rotation or like second round rotation of the drops. And that requires some time usually. One way to get around that is disruption missions, as if you flawlessly run a disruption missions, the drops start off on the first round having a possibility to give you Axii missions at the higher level, but that's usually generally Lua Apollo. So yeah, there's a lot of good missions to run, but for the higher level ones, you're gonna have to run higher level missions and higher level rounds, so like 20-minute survivals, 20 round defenses, you know, things like that, just flawless spies, etc., etc. at a high level. So that's how you get Void Relics, and they can drop from any map on any really planet anywhere. Void Relics generally have a drop rotation, swap in and out constantly, because they have to get different primes droppable in and out of the game. So drops constantly swap out around the entirety of the game, and on any map you can get Void Relics, essentially. You can always go search online to see where Void Relics drop. You can search in the Void Relics segment, or you can search in the codex here, going to Universe and like searching for specific relics and arcane campaigns, but the TLDR is they drop everywhere. One special map is the Void, because the Void has a 100% chance to drop a Void Relic. You know, makes sense, right? Void Relic, fair enough. So no matter what, if you run the Void mission, you'll get a Void Relic at 100% drop rate. You know, Lith, Meso, Neo, or Axii, depending, of course, what mission you're running and what level of, like, drop rotation you're running until. So, all in all, it's not that bad. Usually, to build a Prime Warframe or a Prime weapon, you'll have to farm up one of each type of relic, usually Lith, Meso, Neo, and Axii, or sometimes just, you know, maybe Neo, Lith, Axii, something like that. But usually it's one of each. So you'll either have to run longer missions or run higher level missions, depending on where you're at progressed into the game. And you can trade Void Relics if you ever want to for Platinum. But trading's a kind of a mess in Warframe. You have to either go to Maru's Bazaar, Warframe.market, or just trade on the trade chat platform in-game. But trade chat down here kind of turns into a mess and just yelling, so yeah, you never truly know. People are usually buying the latest primes at a higher price and then just general prime Warframes weapons building materials, so yeah. Once you farm up a good amount of Void Relics, it's fairly simple in order to actually farm the primes themselves. You'll unlock all of these Void missions over here, Void Fishers. These are missions that you run to pop and use your Void Relics. You can see it auto sorts in order of lowest to highest difficulty. So Lith, Meso, Neo, and then Axii Fishers. Just run these missions in order to get the primes. You can click into the screen and then you choose what sort of relic you want to use. These are the lower tier drops, mid tier drops, and high tier drops, or rare, medium, and low tier. So low drop chance, harder but still obtainable drop chance, and very easy drop chance. You can run these missions multiple times, but obviously you can only run one relic at a time, and each time you successfully complete the mission, one relic is consumed. So I have 8 Neo D5 relics I could use and run 8 missions with Neo D5. Naturally, it's a consumable, makes sense. You can upgrade relics as well using Void Traces, and you get Void Traces just from running Void Relics. So run random missions or missions trying to get something, and then you can either upgrade it or not to an exceptional, flawless, or radiant level. So the best is obviously radiant. It'll give you the highest drop rates on the harder drops. So if you want these, you want to get that, but if you just want to get the low tier drops, it's best to just run it intact, and then you'll get some Void Traces to use up later. Higher mastery rank, higher Void Trace, storage, and everything like that. So let's go over how you can actually build primes now. Building the primes are pretty simple. You just go to your foundry over here, and let's say you have something like Ember Prime. Yeah, you have the Ember Prime Neuroptics or something. You just build it in there. Daily reminder, the foundry can build any number of things at once, so there's never any need to limit yourself to only build 1 or 2 items at a time. You can build an entire Prime Warframe. Where are you? Ash Prime, right? You can build all of that at once if you possibly can, as long as you have the building materials. So hopefully this guide helps you, and that's generally how you get Prime Warframes and weapons to increase your stats. I'll just lastly show you the actual difference between a Prime Warframe if you're curious. So if we go to Rhino here, we'll see 225 armor, 100 energy, 100 health, 150 shield, 0.95 sprint speed, but Rhino Prime has slightly higher at 275 armor, 100 energy, 100 health, 150 shield, and 1 sprint speed. So you can see that 3 stats were increased, I believe? No, 2 stats, armor and sprint speed. So all in all, it's a small bonus of 2550 armor and 0.05 sprint speed. So it's not a massive boost, but they always buff the stats that help the Warframe, and since it's Rhino, yeah, he got 50 armor. Armor is how his kit scales. He gets more armor for his abilities, and they do more damage or scale better for him, making him, you know, more buffed up. So it helps, and it does make them stronger versus general weapons. So if we go to something like the Boltor, we have the Boltor here, Base weapon, you know, not bad. It's really early on weapon, mastery rank 2 required, so it's not super strong, but it's fun early on. 14% status, 1.8 crit multiplier, 10% crit chance, and that's the total damage right there of 25. Then you go to the Boltor Prime, total damage, boom, pumps up to 46, so almost doubles. The status goes up to 34, and the crit is 12% at a 2x multiplier. So you can see it gained way more status and noticeably a little bit more crit of like 2% crit chance and 0.2% crit multiplier. So that's always the difference between primes and non-primes. It's a little bit of a stat boost and or a stat change. Some weapons, I can't think of any off the top of my head, go from more of a crit to a status weapon, like I was saying before. But either way, those are prime warframes and weapons and how to get everything. So if this video did help, check out any of my other videos, like, sub, you can join the YouTube membership, use Epic Game Store creator code Pupsker if you ever buy anything there, or super chat, donate, anything does help out. Check out all the socials in the description below. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.